Tonight, we trade the high, treacherous banks of Daytona for a more traditional NASCAR circuit in the form of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hello, everyone. My name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of Austin Belkey and David Christie, who is our director and producer behind the scenes, we would like to welcome you to the WSL NASCAR series in the U.S., powered by SIM3D and Go for the Gap. Austin, this is going to be a little bit of a change in pace from what we've seen previously with these NASCAR Cup machines, but I think it is just going to produce as spicy of action as we saw at Daytona.
That's right, DJ. We're here at Las Vegas, like you mentioned. This place is 1.5 miles long, 2.45 kilometers if you use those units. Track temperature is about 41 degrees Celsius. Air temperature is about 21 degrees Celsius. You can see 22% humidity in the air, partly cloudy. A bit windy here today, so these guys are going to have to deal with some adverse conditions based on that wind, but this is the first time we're going to see these guys actually getting off the throttle using that brake pedal, DJ.
Indeed, they are going to have to brake a little bit coming through the corners, maybe doing a little bit of lifting off coming through there. And as anybody who was able to see the European round earlier today, a lot of strategy involved as well with having to manage out those pit stop sequences. That's going to be a big storyline here today. We do have points updated there for you with Lilac Zier leading the way by 2 points after just a couple of rounds. Eric Kulaga, Jonathan Havey, Henry Windham, and James Howard rounding out your top five. Casey Campbell, Delano, Uretsky, and Height there in the top 10. Obviously very, very close to the top as we've really only had a couple of rounds here in the books.
Yeah, that's right, DJ. Very early, you see Lilac up there. She's been doing a great job to lead the championship, but the more races we get under our belt, the more we're going to see those championship points and as, you know, the championship battle heat up even. So very, very much only the beginning so far. I really expect this championship is going to evolve into something really good by the end of the season.
Indeed, and drivers are on track right now for solo car qualifying as they head out. No draft, so a little bit of a representational thing on just how these cars are going to perform in clean air. And only one lap to be able to get a good lap time down. And Austin, that really and truly changes your mentality as you work your way around, as you really have to make sure you nail that first lap.
That's right, DJ. Usually when you got the 2 laps, I usually go with the banker and then banger strategy. The first lap you're out there, you're just trying to see what the limits of the grip are like. Obviously, you know, you go up there for your warm-up lap. You're really not up to speed yet, certainly not even in turns 1 and 2 because you have to stay on the apron. And then in 3 and 4, you've only really had the backstretch to come up to speed, so you're really not even seeing just how the car is going to handle in the qualifying session. Luckily for these guys, they've all been able to go out there and practice. It's kind of the same similar approach style, but they only have 1 lap, so you really have to nail that lap and be perfect.
Indeed you do, and the 5 drivers right now who do look pretty darn perfect. That's James Howard leading the way with a 30.128. Travis Kepler behind him with Thomas Fisher, Steven Martinez rounding out your top 4. Mark Redford, who we saw earlier today, is 5th. Emily Howe finds herself in 6th place with Eric Kulaga, Jonathan Havey, Lilac Zier, and Jeff Carollo rounding out your top 10. A lot of familiar faces out there right now. Fisher, one of the drivers who just put in a very, very quick time to bump his way up into 3rd.
Yeah, Fisher's got a lot of qualifying speed. He's just one of those drivers that can really nail the whole 1-lap pace thing. We look here at June Neubauer. He's another fast driver from Austin, Texas. You can see driver the number 47 car looking really strong. We're going to have to see how the rest of these laps turn out for him.
Indeed, we are working it off of that backstretch right now, diving down into 3 and 4. We've seen a little bit of squirreliness in mid-corner in particular around here, specifically during that Euro race. A lot of drivers having a little bit of snap oversteer mid-corner. I think part of that is just how hot this track temperature is, 106 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's right. It's really hot out here tonight. And also, these cars are just completely new. We've been used to driving those old Gen 6 cars. And, you know, the new rack and pinion steering is really weird for these drivers to handle. Also, you have the symmetrical body styles, whole different rear end. Now we've got a transaxle, and it really just alters the handling of these cars, especially the feeling when you do finally break them sideways and you have to bring that oversteer back.
Yeah, indeed you do, as we watch the 25 of Cass Silliman bringing her car out on track right now for a good run here. Cass in one of the Toyotas. Obviously, no difference here underneath the hood or outside, really, necessarily, on any of the Ford, Chevy, or Toyotas. All running the same equipment here, just a little bit of cosmetic differences.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're in a Camaro, a Mustang, or a Camry. You pretty much got the same thing under the hood. Only really just a little bit set of decals. Pretty close to the car of tomorrow, that old car that was brought out in 2008, where every single manufacturer had the same body style. Ever since the Gen 6 car in 2013, they've been made to look a little bit different. So you know that you do have a little bit different decals on the cars, maybe a little bit different performance in the wind tunnel. But NASCAR does a lot to make sure that each and every one of these cars is pretty much perfect. There's no balance of power where some cars are better on different tracks. All the cars are the same. NASCAR is very much about driver talent.
Indeed, it is. And we're going to find out in about 3 minutes and 30 seconds which of those drivers has the most talent. Still waiting for a handful of drivers to be able to come out and put their laps down. We're seeing Sean Campbell, one of those drivers, come out right now as Harry Wills able to put his car up into P5. That's a good start for them. And Austin, as we watch these cars go around, how important do you think track position is going to be around here? How important is this qualifying going to be?
It's really important to kind of set your race off on the right foot. Unlike Daytona and Talladega, those plate tracks like we've been at for the last 2 weeks, you really have to be up front to have at least a fighting chance at the win. Now, granted, we do have 100 laps here, but it's not like a plate track where you can just go from the back of the pack to the front of the field in about 10 laps. You really have to set your car up and even maintain your tires. So even though if you don't start out in the front of the field, your race isn't finished. You still have to make sure you look after your tires, and tires are going to be a big deal here at the end of this race too.
Yeah, indeed they are. You're going to have to take care of your stuff, and you're going to have to make sure that everything comes together nicely. Campbell there crossing over the line. That is going to be good enough for P2. So a driver not having to worry about starting in the back right there. That is going to be a huge, huge help. And partly cloudy out here. That's going to do a little bit for the track itself. I think that'll maybe help to cool it down a bit during the race if we get some cloud cover over, and that's going to be a welcome sight for these drivers.
Yeah, it really will. These cars are going to handle a lot better as we get more cloud cover here. It's just going to increase the track grip. And I can assure you, DJ, the race car driver in me is saying, man, I wish I would have waited to put down a fast lap. There's a lot more cloud cover on the track right now than there was. And I'm sure a lot of drivers are attributing Sean Campbell's speed to that, whether it's actual talent or not. If I'm out there, a race car driver, I'm saying the clouds came out at just the perfect time for Campbell and Howard.
Indeed, indeed. And while we wait for these last couple of drivers to bring them in there, we do want to thank our sponsors here, SIM3D. SIM3D are a UK-based business specializing in high-end bespoke sim racing hardware. Go ahead and visit them at sim3d.co.uk. And also go for the Gap, which is the brand of Cami Sturch, a young British artist who creates some incredible motorsports-themed prints over on her Etsy page. Look her up, Austin. I don't know if you've had the chance to check it out, but her stuff is really and truly spectacular. I am looking to get some for my own room.
Yeah, DJ, I'm looking to deck my office out in some of that stuff. I saw she had some pretty cool F1 pixel stickers. Those look pretty cool. Pretty cheap, too. A lot of stuff on her page. Relatively easily priced, affordable stuff. I've been eyeballing that Dale Earnhardt poster for a couple of weeks now. Might pick myself up one of those.
Indeed, as we tick down with about 45 seconds to go here in qualifying, it looks like a bunch of drivers not going to be able to come out and set times. Mailing, Silliman, Height, Timms, Smith, Metzger, Lane, Pleasance, Matthews, and Costello maybe just opting here to stay in the back and not set a time.
Yeah, DJ, I watched Casey Metzger for sure. He just spun out on his lap, so he wasn't able to put down a time. Just going through the rest of the drivers here, it looks like Rich Matthews did try to put down a time. I think the bulk of these drivers that haven't put down a time probably went out, with the exception maybe Sean Smith, went out, spun out on their lap, so they kind of weren't able to post a lap in qualifying. Dean Timms, another of those drivers, I don't think he attempted. And sometimes at these tracks, DJ, you have 100 laps, there could often be a caution, and if you just want to, take care of your tires, you can just start in the back, right around for the first, half the run, and then you can really put your foot down, and more often than not, you'll be leading this thing as long as there isn't a caution to kind of re-equalate that tire balance.
Well, it's time to put everything aside and go racing here, because we are ready to get rolling at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's going to be James Howard lining up in pole position, followed by Sean Campbell, with Travis Kepler and Thomas Fisher behind them. Steven Martinez will line up P5, followed by Harry Willis, with Mark Redford and Emily Howe in P8. In ninth place, it's going to be Eric Kulaga, and Jonathan Havey rounds out your top 10.
Lilac Zero starts in 11th position with Jeff Carollo in 12th. Drew Neubauer lines up in 13th with Judith Cooper to his outside. John Cooper lines up in 15th with TJ Handley to his outside in 16th. Starting off in 17th is Harry Wyndham with John Casey in 18th. Then Floria and Errol Yorksoy complete your top 20 starting positions. Justin Delano starts in 21st, followed by Cass Silliman in 22nd. Starting behind her is Katie Height in 23rd, and starting to her outside is Casey Metzger in 24th. Rolling off in the 25th position is Rich Matthews with Taylor Lane starting in 26th position. Dean Timms lines up in 27th with Sean Smith to his outside in 28th. 29th goes to Morgan Costello, and Matthew Plaisance lines up in 30th. Rounding out the field is Braden Methley.
Indeed, so a big field here today, 31 cars to make it around 100 laps. It's gonna be a good one here, as there you can see Howard and Campbell lining up in that pole position, ready to get going around here. 100 laps, you gotta watch your stuff, you've gotta stay on your game. Austin, what are your keys to victory?
Well, first off, patience. You have to be really patient here in the draft, because if you're not, you're going to burn up your stuff here in the first 10 laps of the run. Your car is going to feel really good. Then you're going to start to lose those tires. You're going to start to lose a lot of track position. Secondly, it's about fuel management. This race, they can't make it on just, one single tank of fuel. They're going to need to come back down pit road, get some more fuel in these race cars. So it all just depends. If this race goes green, when you come down and get that extra fuel, do you undercut the field? Do you overcut the field? There's a lot of luck to be lost and gained with when you pit, depending on if cautions come out, if you can just tell, a bone tingling feeling you have, like a spider sense or Peter Tingle, as it were, in the most recent movie. It just can lead you down pit road at the right time.
And we saw in that European race some drivers catching that out wrong, getting put a lap down and sent to the back of the field, courtesy of some bad pit stops. So drivers going to have to keep their eyes open for that. James Howard and Sean Campbell here leading the field to green. Double wide start up here. Control of the field will go to James Howard once that iRacing sedan pulls on down pit lane.
Huge qualifying effort for all these guys out front. You can see a lot of the guys that qualified well last week and even the week before still qualifying well this week. So definitely some familiar faces up at the front. But DJ, that iRacing pace car is about to turn left down pit road.
It is indeed that pace car getting ready to scamper off down pit lane and let these horsepower loose. There it goes as James Howard has control of the field, waiting for the green flag to fly. And there it is. There's the green. We are racing in Las Vegas. It is a mega jump for James Howard. Sean Campbell trying to catch up behind, but it looks like Travis Kepler and Thomas Fisher having a little bit of a side-by-side as cars start to fan their way out in the back. Harry Wills and Steve Martinez side-by-side as they work their way through 1 and 2, almost 3 wide.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of 3-wide action here at Las Vegas. This is an extremely wide track, and I give a lot of drivers different lanes to run in. All the lanes are pretty competitive here. I'm usually a bottom feeder, so I'll be right there tucked up against that inside white line, but you can even get it done where those 2 white dashes are in the middle. That's usually a pretty good hot lap run, and you can usually bet on being at 3 wide here.
And indeed, we are certainly looking like that in the mid-pack here. A lot of slicing and dicing there. You can see the 66 trying to hold on to some positions. And we've got our first yellow flag here on lap 2. I'm seeing it may be Smith. It may be Plaisance. That is the number 2 going around. That is Sean Smith. Excuse me, that's the number 9. That is Plaisance.
Yeah, Matthew Plaisance getting into the wall there pretty hard. We'll take a look to see what exactly the cause for caution was for, but he's definitely going to need to use his fast repair. That's much too early to be using that.
Yeah, indeed. Let's watch what happens. Ooh, unfortunately, that may have been a little bit of net code there to catch some people out. Little bit of contact there in the back. That's the 31 spinning around. That's Henry Wyndham. And it looked like, judging off that impact there could have been a little bit of net code down to the inside. Yeah, that little bit of a hit there. I think there was pretty substantial gap of air in between.
Yeah, he got really loose in the center of the corner. I think it just kind of snapped sideways on him, and in trying to correct the car, the driver behind him, not quite sure who that was. They just kind of made contact with him there. And once you get hit when you're already sideways in these race cars, it is impossible to bring them back. So you're kind of just along for the ride at that point. Obviously, Matthew and Sean kind of just unfortunate bystanders in that instant. We're going to get another replay here.
Yeah, we're going to go back and take another look
You can
here.
see he's already loose there trying to come down the track, and then he gets that other side step, and you can see just nowhere for I think that's the 46 car to go of Dean Timms.
Oh, I think that was the 78 there
Oh,
of
yeah.
Casey. Yeah, that was John Casey, just a hapless passenger there with Wyndham spinning out in front of him. Absolutely nowhere to go, as you said, Austin.
Yeah, you can see just kind of tag Sean Smith there in the number 2 car. Very unfortunate. He's been the tail end of a lot of bad luck there. And then I think Plaisance just trying to avoid that caution got down onto the apron. You really can't put these cars, you can't even sniff the apron in these cars the wrong way. Otherwise, you're going to go around and that'll send you into the wall. And you can see Plaisance did that kind of Michael Waltrip Daytona 2011, 2012-esque where you just catch too much apron off the corner. You end up biting the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, indeed. So that's going to reset us here, and caution laps obviously do count, and we're just hearing John Casey over the radio saying nowhere to go in that, so confirming our sort of suspicions there from him. Well, obviously not a whole lot down, but I've got to be feeling pretty good if I'm James Howard. That was a lightning start there from the number 25, really able to pull away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, he was able to get up through all 5 of these gears, pretty much the 4 after the first, really well compared to the rest of these guys. Just before he went back to caution, you could see that that second place car, the number 26, Sean Campbell, was kind of running him down a little bit, but I have to imagine that was just kind of James kind of biding his time, saving his tires there at the end because he got a lightning start. He was head and shoulders above the rest of the field in that restart, so doing a very good job to kind of manage that wheel spin.
Yeah, and that wheel spin, something that we talked about in that European race, having to watch out for it off of the drop of the green. You've always got to be on it. Unless my eyes deceive me, I believe the lights are out on that iRacing safety truck as there's Justin Delano in pit lane. Not sure what's going on to that machine. No, excuse me, the lights are not out. We'll have at least one more lap of caution.
Yeah, one more lap here. Particularly long cautions here at Las Vegas, much longer than we used to at Daytona lap-wise. Time-wise, they're about the same, this being about 1/2 a mile shorter in length for the overall course of a lap. Justin Delano, I feel like Delano's just coming down pit road to get some more fuel in that car. He might have a little bit of damage on the tail end of that machine, but I think mostly just refueling that car to make sure he can be one of the last drivers to pit if need be.
Well, and we talked about it a little bit, but if you're able to eke out those couple of laps there, that'll certainly help you. Focusing here on Emily Howe. Emily in that number 99 machine, currently running, I'm losing her on my charts, currently running in 5th. She had a great start to this race, able to bump up 3 positions, being very, very aggressive early on and trying to put that Toyota up towards the front of the field.
Yeah, she was doing a great job kind of slicing and dicing up through the field there. It's really hard to pass at this place, especially on the restart. So pretty much a Kyle Busch-esque restart. Now we look at Daniel Tenorio, the Toledo, Ohio driver. Or Floria, excuse me.
I was going to say, I think you combined Floria and Toledo there, but yeah, the number 97 trying to do a good job there. He's up 4 positions. Our biggest mover on the day, it looks like, is Caitlin Height in that 16 machine. Caitlin is up 9 spots, so a wicked start there for the driver of the 16.
Yeah, I saw her on the outside, DJ. She was definitely picking up a lot of spots. She was on that high line, kind of just taking advantage of everyone maybe going into the corners a little bit easier than they needed to. So her aggressive approach so far really paying dividends.
Well, and we'll see if that aggression plays out because now the lights on the iRacing safety car are out and we are ready to get back under green again. James Howard will bring the field to green. And important to note here for Howard that he will have control of the restart. So that is absolutely crucial here. He can start when he wants to once that pace car has pulled off down pit lane. We wait here. Fisher and Kepler behind him. Emily Howe and Steven Martinez making up your top 3 rows. A little bit jumbled up there as they wait for everything to get going. There goes the pace car down pit lane. We're ready to get going again. It's another great start from James Howard, and that's going to be Kepler trying to put the pressure on to Sean Campbell here right at the drop of the green.
Yeah, Kepler doing a great job to try and challenge Sean Campbell down to his inside. You see Fisher there in that number 92 car doing a great job to kind of hold his own. Now you can see that outside really paying off. There is a bump here at Las Vegas, DJ, at the inside of turn 1 that really upsets the car. I feel like that's what caught out that driver. You can see him fishtailing down the backstretch. I think that's that number 97 driver that we just talked about, Daniel Floria.
Yeah, indeed, as that's going to be a send around there. I think that bump is exactly what caught out the 97 here. So we are back under yellow yet again, courtesy of a spin there for the 97. iRacing automatically throwing that caution out. And we will have to see what shakes down here as a result of this. Let's take a look. Austin, talk us through this.
Yeah, you can see Daniel, he's up there trying to cut down the car, and it looks like he was just, I think he was net coated there. I don't even think they hit that bump. They definitely, I think Daniel went high to avoid that bump. It's kind of in the center of the corner. That's mostly where it upsets the car, and I think that was just net code there. I don't know who spun him out there. I think it might have been the number 72 car.
I believe it was the 25, actually, there of Cass Silliman that made contact with him there. Yep. Obviously, a little bit of net code from what we could tell. Cass really having nowhere to go and no fault of her own.
No, I mean, Cass is just holding her line. You know, we're going to ride along with her right here. You can see Daniel's coming on the track. All of a sudden, he gets it really loose in the center of the corner. You're already on corner exit right here. If you're in Cass's shoes, you're going to go ahead and power on through this. And in her defense, that wasn't even real contact. That was net code. So nothing Cass did wrong there.
No, nothing at all. And there you can see the damage there on the left side of the 97 with Daniel Floria as he gets back into line. Looks like we've got a couple of drivers coming down pit lane. Interestingly, Travis Kepler, who is running up in the top 10, but he is going to come down pit lane here. The Bowling Springs, Pennsylvania driver opting to come down, take tires, take a little bit of fuel here early on, and sacrifice that track position.
Yeah, he's got some right side damage there, DJ. I don't know if he might have gotten into the outside wall there coming off the corner. I thought we were paying pretty close attention to him coming off of turn 2 there, but obviously he's made contact with something to give that car all that damage. You can see he tried to bust down the fence pretty hard.
Yeah, indeed. There you can see that right rear damage as well. So some pretty heavy damage to Kepler. Looking like he's getting a little bit of damage repair done on the car. So that's obviously going to put him down. But the story continues to be your pole sitter, James Howard, in that number 29 machine, has led since the drop of the green flag. Granted, we haven't had that many green flag laps, but Howard has looked very, very unassailable. Has been able to get a good jump on the field and really keep that car moving.
He has been doing a really good job getting all the way up through the gears here. 5 gears in these new NASCAR Next Generation Cup cars, as opposed to the 4 gears we had before. Now they have that sequential gearbox, no more H pattern shifting.
Yeah, indeed, as that is obviously a change, as is the massive amount of rear downforce provided by that rear diffuser that we've talked about a little bit here, Austin, and that really changes the way you drive these machines.
It certainly does. It gives the advantage of having a lot more downforce all the way around the race car. It used to be, especially in the last couple of years, with the massive amount of downforce the car in front would produce compared to the car in behind, you just get really tight. And this place is one of the places that would happen at Las Vegas. These drivers are kind of pretty much flat all the way around the racetrack. They barely have to crack the throttle, and clean air was king, as was track position. Very hard to make any passes because as soon as you got behind someone, you just get insanely tight, lose all the downforce on your car, and just drop through the field. So with the advantage of this rear diffuser, it kind of cleans up the air for the car behind, so it allows for much tighter racing. And we've been seeing that when we do get the green flag runs here. It's just kind of few and far in between so far.
Well, but it is early on in this race. Obviously, a little bit of drivers' nerves playing into this, and the incidents we've seen not necessarily Exactly indicative of this series, obviously, as drivers getting a little bit of net code problems there. But if my numbers are right, I think we should be forming back to go 2 wide here, keeping an eye on that iRacing pace car. And indeed, as we watch James Howard, they cross over the line, and there go the lights off. We are going to be racing next time by.
Yep, going green next time by. And yeah, I would mostly blame the internet service providers so far for all the cautions we've had today. Just a lot of net code there to bring out these cautions. These guys were extremely clean in Daytona. We didn't have any cautions for the first probably third of that race, and the week before the press week, as they called it, Busch Clash, Sprint Unlimited. Very few wrecks in both those races as well. So these guys very clean. They definitely know what they're doing, but you bring that net code into play sometimes, and 1 foot becomes nothing. No distance between these race cars. They just send each other around.
Yeah, exactly. As we work our way on the backstretch here, waiting to see what this lineup is going to be. It still remains Howard, Campbell, Fisher, Howe, Redford, and Havey, your top 6, as they get ready to take back to the green. We've seen that outside line have a lot of good momentum around here once we've had a little bit of green flag running. I anticipate that staying the same, but plenty of 2 and even 3 wide as drivers continue to work their way around. Sean Campbell, as we ride on board with, he is currently in second as they go. Ready for that pace car to dive down pit lane. There it goes, and waiting for James Howard to go. There he goes. He's going to try to bring Thomas Fisher along with him a little bit. Fisher down to the inside, and that's going to be Campbell losing out a little bit off of the restart, as we are Noah's Ark going down into the corner between Fisher and Campbell and Redford and Howe.
Yeah, you can see Fisher really charging into the corner to make sure he can slide up. If given the opportunity, he is going to be clear to his outside, so he's going to slide up the track. But you can see Campbell really knowing his stuff, pulls the crossover down the back straightaway, looking to gain that draft. If he can get it from that number 29 car of Howard, really not much doing there, but you can see the 83 car really trying to tuck in behind these drivers and do the best that they can.
Indeed, and it continues to be a nice little triangle of drivers, Fisher, Campbell, and Howe riding around. That's going to be Howe looking up on the high line, trying to carry as much momentum as possible there in that number 99 machine, but everything's going to start to fan itself out here a little bit more. We keep going around now. Fisher and Campbell continuing to hold it out. Howe on the high side, trying to see what she can do.
Yeah, you can see that bump in turns 1 and 2 really starting to show itself now. You can see each and every time we've gone into turns 1 and 2, the driver on the high side usually wins out. Right now you can see that number 92 car still coming all the way up high to cover any kind of run Sean Campbell might get as they go into the corner. You can see we ride along right now with that number 99 of Howe. Oh, we're under caution again.
And we've got another yellow coming out of turn 2. It sounds like car up by the wall, and so that's going to blunt the momentum of this race a little bit more, as there we see the car spun around. Doesn't look like too heavy of damage, but a definite spin there. That is the number 27 machine. That's Travis Kepler.
Yeah, Kepler involved in this one again. There's another 2 cars though down the backstretch with some substantial damage. It looks like this caution even started before Kepler got there. It looks like he kind of what we call arca braked it, trying to slow the car down just as much as possible to avoid a wreck. And doing so, you can kind of lock up the rear tires and spin these cars around. And they do have a lot stronger brakes than the cars in the last generation, so it's really easy to be caught up by their performance. And they don't have the same stopping power the entire time you're kind of decelerating. They're really efficient to slow the car down, and then all of a sudden they just don't really stop worth anything.
Indeed, and looking back, I believe Jeff Carollo may have blown an engine. I saw a lot of smoke coming out of that car. As we take a look back here a little bit farther, this is leading up to that incident down further in the pack. Let's wait and see what happens.
Jeff Carollo. Oh, he just got some snap oversteer and kind of just turned that car into the wall. Not really anywhere for the drivers behind them to go. You can see Kepler tries to slow down, get that car off the track, and just hits the apron a little bit weird there, starts to spin himself out. And I don't quite know who that purple car was. They kind of got body slammed there. But now we're looking at Carollo again. We're right along with him right now. You can see, yeah, he gets loose right before that, tries to correct, and there's just no saving these cars. When they get that sideways and that high of speed, you're just going straight into the wall.
And so Carollo there getting a very nice push back to pit lane to be able to take that free repair, as I can confirm his engine did blow in the course of that. Travis Kepler also coming down pit lane here. I don't believe he took his free repair last time out, so if that car is a little bit more damaged, that should be able to pop right back into place.
Yep. Interesting of note, too, Fisher came down pit road pushing his teammate Carollo. I don't know if that was planned for him to come down pit road or if he just kind of took the bullet there to help out a teammate. Very gentlemanly sportsmanship deal of him there, but obviously giving up quite a lot of track position here.
Yeah, giving up quite a bit of track position, but it's still early on in this race. We're not even at the quarter-century mark, so still plenty of time for this race to sort of let itself pan out.
Yeah, there's still lots of time left. You can see that driver of the purple car there, TJ Handley. He was the guy, he had a bright yellow and white car last week, so change up the colors just a bit. We'll have to see how long he's owned iRacing for this time by. If we can get that set up on the screen at some point tonight, we get a chance to talk about him again. But he was that driver that kind of got body slammed there by the number 27 of Travis Kepler.
Yeah, indeed. As drivers work their way around here, looks like the lights on that pace car are still on, so we're at least going to have one more lap of caution. Got another driver coming down into pit lane. That's Drew Neubauer there, the Austin, Texas driver coming for a little bit of service.
Yeah, just trying to get these cars tuned up a little bit before we get going green here again. And this can be for any number of reasons, whether it's to get a bit more damage taken care of, kind of refuel the car to make sure you can go. And sometimes it just comes down to that too, DJ. If you can stay out on track a couple laps longer than the rest of your competition, hope a caution comes out, you can trap a lot of guys down like that.
Yeah, indeed you can. As we get going back around here, looks like a little bit of friendly bump drafting, I think, there with Emily Howe and Sean Campbell, potentially. Just a little bit of fun there between the two. I anticipate lights going out here at this time by as everybody gets ready to go racing here once again.
Yeah, the iRacing pace car taking these guys around at quite the leisurely speed here.
Yeah, really and truly is. But once we get up to green, that leisurely pace will be sent by the wayside, as indeed it does look like those lights are off and we start to form back double wide.
Yeah, this is when the nerves start to kind of set back in. You're going green next time. Are you in the lane you want to be in? Or if you're on the outside, I feel like, yes, at least into turn 1 and turns 3 and 4, you can really get it done in both lanes. I feel like you want to be on the inside. I always prefer to be on the inside if I can be. That's where I feel the most comfortable. But turns 1 and 2 here can really upset the car if you're on the inside. These new next generation Cup cars obviously respond to the bumps a little bit differently than the cars of years past, but it's, you know, still that turn 1 bump can really upset the car, especially if you're on the bottom. And you can be fast down there for a while, but eventually the car just kind of gets, you know, pushed tight for a while, and then it might get loose coming off. So really just kind of want to arc the car from the high side down to the low side as you go down the backstretch.
Well, we'll have to see about that. A lot of similarities here in kind of running dirt a little bit. As you talk about arcing that car, running the high-low line, running a little bit of a slider. We saw some of those get thrown in the European race earlier in the day, but right now, none of that on the mind of James Howard. He is fixated solely on that iRacing pace car and ready to get going and ready to get back racing under green on lap 19. There goes the pace car scampering down pit lane. A big restart yet again for James Howard. Campbell going to try to catch up behind. It's Emily Howe and Mark Redford that are going to be side by side for P3. Squabbling it out. Harry Wills trying to see what he can gain behind them.
Yeah, that was the earliest jump we've seen from leader James Howard all night long, so you can see that paying dividends for him. As you can see, they're too wide back there for the third position. That's going to be the number 44 car, Jonathan Havey. The 77, Mark Redford on the outside. To the inside there looks like that number 99 car.
Exactly, that number 99 of Emily Howe trying to see what she can do. She's now going to try to work up down to the low side, but Redford has that covered off. Side by side there in the back between Jonathan Havey and Lionel Laxier, as well as they dive down into turn 1. It continues to be James Howard leading this race. That gap falling a little bit more, but there goes Lilac on the outside of the corner and really putting that power down.
Yeah, shooting around the outside of Jonathan Havey there, really showing him how it's done in turns 1 and 2. You really want to be on the outside if you can help it. Now it looks like he's going to lose another position here to Katie Hyden, the number 16 BMW Stang.
Indeed, side by side there again. That's the kind of action that we love to see there. Lilac and Caitlin Hyde trying to hold it out as they go down into the corner. That's going to be Caitlin that is able to get the move done, but it doesn't look like that is done quite yet as there's a little bit of a fight back. Big wide in the back, but we've got a pass for the lead right now as Sean Campbell's trying to work down to the inside.
Yeah, we're 4 wide there, as you can see just before he went to this battle here. Campbell to the inside, Howard on the outside. I think, the position is going to go to Howard here down the back stretch. We'll see if Campbell can do anything here. Obviously, he's got another car to his outside. Oh, you can see big wiggle there for Campbell.
Yeah, big wiggle for Campbell having to hold it up. That may open up a little bit of an opportunity for Mark Redford, but look at that run from Emily Howe. Lots of momentum. That's going to push her way up into third place as they cross into turn 3. She's going to lose a little bit of time from going from point A to point B, but a lot of speed there for Emily in that 99 machine trying to work her way on the number 26 butt kicker machine.
Yeah, she's still using the high side. She gave a pretty large push there to Mark Redford to kind of rocket him there into second position. You can see all these drivers now up on the high side with the exception of Redford. Now you can see Hyde on the low side. These 4 drivers got to be extremely careful here because this pack is about to be joined by another 3 drivers behind them.
Yeah, indeed they are in that pack, being led by Lilac Zier, Caitlin Hyde, Harry Wills, and Jonathan Havey, all really a part of that mix. As we cross over the line, working on lap 24, diving down to the apron is James Howard. He wants to protect that bottom line.
Yeah, Howard's still choosing the outside. Obviously, we've seen its strength here in turns 1 and 2. On the inside, though, in turns 3 and 4, Redford is going to get a pretty good run. We'll see how this goes down the front stretch.
Indeed, we will throw a blanket over these drivers. The top 7 only separated by about 8/9 of a second. Oh, getting a little bit hairy there as that's Mark Redford starting to poke his nose down to the inside. We're running in a nice little diamond here as they work down into turn 1. That's going to be Emily Howe having to check up just a little bit. That's the first time we have seen her momentum blunted really since this new green flag run.
Yeah, now Hyde has joined these drivers, so we're going to see what she can do as she gets up here. You can see her back there in that white BMW/Mustang running around at about the 5th or 6th position. She's bringing along Lilacs here with her, so those 2 female drivers slowly marching their way up towards the front. They're single file now. So far it's been Howard able to kind of hold on to all these positions here deeper and deeper into the run.
And Howard going up for the high line there. That's going to open up a little opportunity for Sean Campbell down low, but Campbell has to check himself up a little bit. That issuing an apology over the radio, not necessarily ready for that. That checked up Mark Redford as well. Emily Howe now having a little bit of a run. She's going to try to dive low, cuts off Mark Redford, carrying that momentum through the quarter as we jump back in the field. Here is Travis Kepler working his way by a couple of cars.
Yeah, Kepler's doing a good job trying to march his way back up through the field. You can see right now running in that 16th position. We went green. He was about in the 30th position or worse, just based on how many cars were pitting. You can see him right now slicing through 2 teammates, one the Toyota, one in that Ford car, 76 and 48 there. You can see Sean Campbell now trying to challenge James Howard again down to the inside in turns 3 and 4. We'll see if he can make this work.
He's going to certainly try to, but I think that momentum's going to come back to Sean Campbell there on the high side, and indeed it is. But I am absolutely loving what I am seeing out of the 83 here of Emily Howe. Just a lot of patience, a lot of holding back and waiting, not being too aggressive too early.
Yeah, you can see Campbell really willing that car into the corner. You can see he got loose a number of times, having to wiggle that car around. Huge momentum here for Emily Howe. We're going to see what she's going to do with that. She chooses to push James Howard into turn number 3 here. You can see kind of sends him up the track a bit. Emily Howe now going down to the inside. She gets a monster run off of turn 4.
Yeah, she has looked really good off of corner exit this entire race as Emily's now into second place, eyeing that leader up ahead. What line is the 29 going to take? He's going to go high. Big bobble!
Yeah, that was a huge bobble. Really upset the car there. Howe's going to take all that momentum down to the inside. They're too wide for the lead down the backstretch. We're going to see what Sean Campbell's going to do. Not really close enough to make it 3 wide or push one of these drivers. I think the advantage right now going to that number 99 car of Howe.
Emily Howe down to that low side, and it looks like momentum is going to come back in favor of James Howard here a little bit. For how long is that going to be able to hold out? Sean Campbell and Caitlin Hyde also there in behind. They dive down in through 1 and 2 again.
Howard getting really loose on the high side, still loose. He's still wiggling that car. Big drift here, comes down the track, almost makes contact with Hyde.
How did he hold on to that thing, Austin?
I don't know. That was the biggest drift I've seen anyone make in one of these cars and hold it without going off the track or hitting another one of these drivers. That was a whale of a job.
It was a whale of a job, and what that's allowed to do is it's allowed for Emily Howe to open up a little bit of a gap, but there goes Howard working again down on that apron across the front stretch. That is allowed, by the way. It looks like Caitlin Hyde's going to try to dive down to the inside of Sean Campbell, but Campbell continues to run that high groove. No more wiggles out of the 29. Looks relatively stable through 1 and 2.
Yeah, no wiggles. He knows his tires are really hot, though, so he has to be really careful here to make sure he doesn't continue to overheat them. He's got to cool those things back down. Otherwise, the wear is just going to start to accelerate here. It's really a snowballing effect, kind of a vicious circle, if you will. Height still now challenging Campbell to his inside.
Indeed, as there goes Howard slotting back into line, drifting up the track a little bit more, running a higher line than Emily Howe. Sean Campbell trying to run low on James Howard, but that momentum is really going to pay out there. Little bit of a defensive move from Howe to see if she can cover anything off, but doesn't really need to as there's no pressure from behind.
Yeah, Campbell got really loose on the inside of turns 1 and 2 there, and Height was going to have the advantage, but there was just nowhere for her to go behind that number 29 car. Now she's going to be on the outside. I think she's going to be clearing to third place once they're down the backstretch. You can see, though, Redford and now Silliman and Zier trying to catch these guys, running them down the last couple laps.
Yeah, indeed, they are side by side. They're back for third place between Hyde and Campbell. Campbell able to get away, or Hyde able to get their way a little bit. It looks like Campbell had a big wiggle coming off of the corner. That's going to demote him down a position as now Caitlin Hyde starts to look to the inside of your pole sitter, James Howard.
Wow, those two cars are really close for second position. I don't think you could have fit a piece of paper in between those two vehicles. Now you see Howard challenging Howe to the inside of her for that number lead position. You can see Height just behind these guys. She's going to go with whoever gets the momentum here on the high side. Well, she chooses to follow him. Howard, really loose, goes down to the apron.
That car is screaming out in agony, and how he was able to keep onto it and stay in fourth place, I will never know. But he's trying to drift that car up right now. Resetting your order, it's Emily Howe, Caitlin Height, Mark Redford, James Howard, and Sean Campbell. Campbell trying to get a little bit of a run there. It looks like Cass Silliman trying to go down to the inside of Campbell, though, as here comes a little bit of a look from Caitlin Height to the inside of Emily Howe.
Yeah, she's looking to the inside, doesn't quite have the momentum. She's just kind of poking her nose down there to say, hey, I'm here. If you make a mistake, I'm going to take this position. You can see Redford now poking his nose to the inside of Katie Height. He's looking for that position, trying to sniff a draft there from our leader of Howe.
Yeah, trying to sniff that away there just a little bit. It's now Mark Redford taking that apron line all the way down to the inside, trying to get around Caitlin Height. Doesn't look like it's quite going to work. Both wiggling a little bit through the corner. That bump through 1 and 2 really coming out to play here, Austin.
Yeah, I think it's the bump. I think these guys are just, and girls, are just kind of sending the cars into turns 1 and 2 a little bit too hot and having to correct them. For the most part, that bump is on the lower half of the track, so kind of surprised that Height bobbled as much as she did there. To be fair, she bobbled even more than Mark Redford did, so I don't know if that's Redford kind of just knowing how hard he can charge into these corners, but definitely doing a little bit better job that time by.
Little bit better job as we come down now. Ooh, you can see Campbell fighting that car. Wiggle. Yeah, it was, and that's another big wiggle in the back for James Howard. He's able to hold on to it as well, but he's going to lose a position to Cass Silliman.
Oh, you can just see Height was really trying to get up there and close that gap so that Campbell couldn't get a big of a run there. Unfortunately, she couldn't quite get high enough. Now you're going to see Campbell use a lot of that momentum on the high side. He's going to challenge back down as we stay locked on this battle here for about the 5th position. James Howard, his tires really screaming out in agony now.
Yeah, indeed they are, and here comes an added wrinkle into this mix. We've got John Casey and TJ Handley up ahead of them. We've got some lap traffic to start dealing with for your leaders as Emily Howe and Mark Redford continue to be side by side going down into the corner, eyeing up that number 78 lap car ahead of them.
Yeah, usually you can use the lap cars as a pick. It all just really depends on when you catch those guys.
Well, we'll have to see Emily Howe quickly able to dispatch John Casey, as it looks like, whoa, in the back there, Campbell and Redford making it 3 wide on the entrance into turn 1, but they're able to clear it. They've now got about a 3-second breathing room before they catch up to TJ Handley up ahead. Your leaders run in single file: Howe, Height, Campbell, and Redford.
Yeah, you can see the second batch of leaders just behind these cars. You can see that's Howard still on the outside, Cass Silliman to his inside, and then Lilacs here, kind of the last leader, holding on to these group of cars. And then it's about 4 seconds back to Harry Wills. He's kind of the leader of that second pack as we ride along here with James Howard. He's been doing a good job to kind of cool down his tires. He really has to take it easy. If you overheat these tires too much, they're going to still complain more and more. You're going to be sliding through the corner, and James has been really lucky, very talented to catch that car, the amount of times he's slid it. But you really, every time you do that, kind of consider yourself a cat with 9 lives. Now you got 8, then you got 7. He's got about 6 left.
Indeed, he does, and we continue to focus in on that battle for the lead pack. The 26 looking a little bit aggressive here, trying to find his way past Caitlin Height directly ahead of him. That's going to be the 26 running on the high line, a very similar line to your leader, Emily Howe there. Now it's going to have to be a question of, can he make the move? He's got more momentum. Looks like he checks himself up a little bit, does Sean Campbell, before they enter into turn 3, but again, running that high line.
Yeah, DJ, when you're following somebody that close, especially a track like this where all the lines can possibly work, you check yourself up a little bit just in case you choose to go high and Katie Height tries to go height as well. We're getting a challenge for the lead here. You can see Height now to the inside of Howe.
Yeah, that's going to be Caitlin Height trying to make that move, but momentum is going to favor Emily Howe as they come out of turn 2. Momentum definitely favoring Emily Howe here. There's a slot for Caitlin Height to be able to slot back into line, but it doesn't look like she wants to take it, wants to continue to challenge for this lead. That is TJ Handley that they're coming up against. Is that going to be a pick that they are going to have to use?
I think so, DJ. One of them is definitely going to use it. For right now, he's kind of choosing to ride in smack dab the middle of the track. So if you're Height, you want to choose the middle. Now, TJ Handley goes all the way down to the inside. We're seeing Height go down to the inside as well. She gets pretty loose down there. Not as fast. You can see momentum now shifts back to Howe on the high side.
Indeed it does. We've got a car spinning around there in the back. Oh, that's James Howard around. Looks like he's down on the apron, though, so no yellow flag has been thrown. Oh, and there it's triggered.
Yeah, the caution didn't come out because he was down on the apron off that racing surface like you mentioned, DJ, but as soon as he was able to turn that car around, the rear end was just barely hanging his butt out on the track, and that, of course, triggers the iRacing caution. We're going to get a replay of this.
Indeed, we are. That 29 Valvoline machine on your screen. Let's watch what happens. He takes the car high. It starts to step out, contact with the wall, spins it around, and just tries to catch it there. Luckily, frankly, he didn't high-side the car there on that apron the way it was running. But there's just that little bit of contact onto the racing surface that triggers the yellow.
Yeah, he did a good job saving that car, kind of wheeling it back up to the wall, and then it kind of just bounced off the wall as soon as he got high enough, and at that point, just kind of momentum forcing you down the track as well. But you can see all of our leaders now coming down pit road. I think this is going to be everybody here with the amount of laps we put in. It's been about 20 since we last had a caution.
Yeah, indeed. I think this is a good call. Top up on fuel. Get a fresh set of boots onto the car if you can, as it does look like everybody coming down pit lane here at this point.
Yeah, I have to imagine, DJ, you're going to come down and get 4 fresh Goodyear Feel Goods and 2 cans of fuel to make sure you can make it the rest of this race on fuel. I have to imagine, though, if a caution comes out 20 laps from now, you're going to want 4 more tires.
Yeah, I think so, but I think braking or pitting under green, not the way to go as they cycle their way back out. It looks like it's going to be Howe, Campbell, Height, Redford, and Silliman coming out of pit lane. Want to give a massive kudos here to Caitlin Height. She is up 20 positions on the day.
Yeah, man, just saving those tires, doing a great job, making sure you don't overheat them, kind of taking our time coming up through the field. That's what saving your tires does. Obviously, that's what it's like to have a lot more race pace than qualifying pace. It's really hard for a lot of these drivers to put down a fast lap. You can see right now we're looking at that number 3 car, TJ Handley. He has changed his paint now. He's self-advertising for himself for the last 2 weeks. It said that he'd only been owning iRacing for about about 6 weeks. So finally, instead of having to update that to say 7 or 8, now he's just got a whole different idea going on. I like it.
I like it as well, and he's going to come down pit lane here to get a little bit of a fix-up on that car, as it were, to just recycle you up in the front. By the way, it is Howe, Campbell, Height, Redford, and Silliman, your top 5. That car that you see right there, the 97 in front of Emily Howe, that is Daniel Floria. He is a lap down.
Yeah, he's just trying to get the wave around here, DJ. And, you know, with the amount these guys can make it on fuel, cautions breed cautions. I think this is a great idea. Basically, he's trying to get his lap back right here. And if we get another caution immediately, he can pit and kind of be on the same tire and fuel sequence as everyone else. Sometimes it's kind of an awkward position to be in. You know, do I take the wave around or if a caution doesn't come out for a while, I'm going to be a lap down regardless, and maybe 2 at that point if I do have to pit while other drivers are still under green. So at that point, you risk being 2 laps down. It's really hard, but Larry McReynolds always says if you can get that lap back, you get it back right away, because cautions breed cautions, and you'd rather put yourself in a good position than keep yourself in the same position. So I really like this move.
Indeed, and just worth a quick mentioning there on Emily Howe's livery. She is listed on our screens right now as the number 99 in system. That's why we keep referring to her as the 99, but you can obviously see that 83 there on her livery. So just a little bit of a computing error on that. That's not trying to confuse you fans out there.
Yeah, it's just easier for us, especially you look at the scoreboard, you kind of associate at this point earlier on in the season. I mean, DJ, it's your first race here. I've only been up in the booth for 2 races before this. It's just a lot easier to look over at the left-hand part of your screen there. You can see the scoring pylon. That just really easily, see that number 99, see how it's just really easy to kind of compute everything. And after a while, just kind of associate that light hot pink color, the 83, to her car number.
I don't know if I'd call that hot pink. I'd say that's more of a salmon.
Maybe. Yeah, salmon. Yeah,
there you go.
As soon as I said hot pink, I was like, that's not right. I'm going to get some flack for that. That is more of a salmon.
All right, there we go. All right, we're going to call it salmon from now on. Well, one way or the other, whether it's the 83 or the 99, that salmon-colored machine will be the one bringing us to the flag here. We have not seen Emily start out a race yet. It has really only been other drivers in the back. It's been Howard that has been bringing us to the green, so it'll be interesting to see how she is able to take this restart.
Yeah, we're going to see how early she starts. I don't know why James Howard had so much problem with his rear tires at the get-go. Maybe he was just spinning them a lot, really good at just kind of driving that car Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch style. We're going to see, though, in just a second how big a lead she can get.
We will indeed, as we wait for the iRacing pace car to pull on in. There it goes, waiting for Emily to get on the loud pedal, and there she goes. She's got a pretty good start. She's going to bring Caitlin Height along with her. Sean Campbell looking like he's going to lose out a little bit. Is he going to dive down back onto that low side? No, he is going to stay high. There's a chance there that Cass Silliman will be able to make her move down to the inside, but look at that momentum for the 26.
Yeah, doing a really good job using that high side to get a lot of the momentum. He's going to maybe look for a crossover here. Nothing doing. One car hard into the inside retaining wall. That was very much reminiscent of Jeff Gordon's crash here in about 2008.
And thankfully down to that inside wall. I'm not sure who that is. That's Rich Matthews there, the Aurora, Nebraska driver of the 64. He is going to be able to stay down on the apron, and so we will stay green out front, and that is good news for Sean Campbell because that 26 is on a drive.
Yeah, doing a great job. Really, really doing a good job in the center of the corner there in turns 1 and 2. Keeps all that momentum. Usually you expect to see Howe kind of challenge back, do a crossover. She honestly wasn't even close. Now Mark Redford tries to get a piece of Emily Howe.
Indeed, Mark Redford trying to be able to do that. It looks like Caitlin Height has fallen down a little bit into 5th place, but Thomas Fisher now inserting his name up in there as well. Here comes Redford looking down to the low side as they come around, and it looks like there that Emily Howe has got a pretty good run on the high side. Is she going to try to make a move?
Oh, Travis Kepler goes for a spin on the backstretch.
And once again, down onto the inside apron, so no yellow out here on lap 50.
Yeah, that was a huge wreck for him, and unfortunately for him, he's kind of already used his fast repair. That's probably day done. We go back, though, to the battle for the lead. It's still Sean Campbell in front. Emily Howe, Mark Redford round out your podium. Just behind them, it's going to be Thomas Fisher and Katie Height. Fisher, though, really on a comeback the second half of this race. Earlier on in the race, his teammate Jeff Carolla blew his engine, so Fisher was nice enough to be a good teammate, kind of push him around to pit road so we could get that fast repair. That kind of relinquished him to about 30th in the field, so to be running in fourth once again. Again, it's where he started, so it doesn't look like a comeback on paper, but if you kind of set this back to about lap 20, maybe 15 or so, great job for him.
Yeah, indeed. Meanwhile, up front, little bit of a look there for Emily Howe. Thinking about going low now, going back high. We focus back here a little bit farther in the pack. Thomas Fisher holding off an attack there from Caitlin Height and Cass Silliman as they all try to jockey around four position, diving down into turn two. There you can see Sean Campbell running that high line on the way down there. Emily Howe trying to run low, now slipping up and trying to get into the draft of Campbell.
Yeah, right now it's just basically a game of follow the leader here at about 188, 193 mile an hour as they decelerate down into turn one. That's the fastest these guys are going to be going. You can see them fanning out now about three wide, three different lines here, really taking advantage of how wide this track is. That's Redford all the way down on the inside there. Howe trying to sneak a draft to see what she can do behind Campbell.
And Redford sending it in deep again, but his momentum going to come back here to Emily Howe and Sean Campbell as they exit at turn four. It looks like indeed it is. There's a little bit of a block for Campbell. Campbell going to move down and try to chop off that momentum of Redford, as now it's side by side between Howe and Redford going into one. Behind them, threading the needle is Cass Silliman.
Yeah, Cass Silliman doing a great job, and Campbell just kind of, straightening the points between turn four and turn one, doing a great job to kind of take feet off the lap there as we ride along with Cass Silliman and the number 25 car. She's been doing a great job wheeling this machine up from the back of the pack. She started all the way back in 22nd, so she's up a whopping 18 spots so far.
And down to the inside apron, there goes Caitlin Height, yes, trying to see if she can get anything on Thomas Fisher. A little bit of a good run on the high side there as well for Cass Silliman, trying to get everything that they can. Momentum's going to come back in favor here, Thomas Fisher, as they come onto the backstretch, and it looks like Silliman's going to try to just snake in behind that draft.
Yeah, Fisher now takes a peek to the outside, see if he can get any kind of momentum there in the number 99 of Howe, 83. We just had that bit of a kerfuffle, brain kerfuffle anyways.
Indeed. I love the aggression here that I'm seeing out of Cass Silliman. She is trying to poke that car this way and that, but here comes a good run for Emily Howe off of the corner as they're going to pass by Ariel Uretsky coming down. A slower car there. Is that going to present any sort of hiccups here for these drivers? They're all going to have to go single file through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Uretsky was kind of nice enough to kind of let off the throttle there and let them all by. Obviously, kind of checks you up if you want to be on that low side, kind of bottom feeding. But for the most part, we haven't seen too many of the leaders down there. You still see how she's really snaking all over the place as we look at her car from the back of Sean Campbell's number 26 machine.
Yeah, from the back there, you can see how just poking and prodding, trying to find a little bit of weakness in the defense of Sean Campbell. And there to the outside, Thomas Fisher looking aggressive again. Cass Silliman down to the inside. Almost contact. There may have actually been contact there between the 92 and the 15.
That's just really trusting the driver to your inside and the driver to your outside. You can see a lot of trust between those two drivers really using up all the track there. You can see Cass Silliman, huge job there to now rocket herself into the third position.
Yeah, fantastic run there for her. So she is up into third now, trying to close in on the back of Emily Howe. Emily Howe, who continues to run multiple different lines here. That car looking very, very solid no matter where she decides to put it.
Yeah, she's been doing a really good job running everywhere she wants to on the track. It really seems like she doesn't have a preferred line. She can just kind of put her car wherever she needs to. That's advantageous for her. Another driver still doing that, though, Cass Silliman. You can see her and Fisher getting extremely loose. Fisher spins down the back straightaway.
And he's going to stay down onto the apron, get that car back up to speed, and will stay green. But that is one of your front runners also having a problem here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, really easy to spin off turn two there. That's about the fourth or fifth driver we've seen do that. Third this run alone. So now it's Campbell, Howe, Silliman, Height, Red for your top five.
Indeed, and a little bit more spread out there as a result of all of that. But Emily Howe continuing to try to see what she can get on Sean Campbell, Cass Silliman, and Caitlin Height a little bit farther behind. They're about, call it 4 car lengths in, but as they round in through 3 and 4, it looks like Silliman able to close down just a little bit. It's Sean Campbell, though, doing a great job. Little bit of a wiggle there on the exit of 4.
Yeah, these drivers are really giving it everything they have every single lap. I don't think any of one of them is kind of holding anything back. You can see now we're looking at that number 66 car of Eric Kulaga.
Yeah, Kulaga trying to see what he can be able to pick up here as he works down to the inside. Working there on that number 44. That's Jonathan Havey. This is down for 15th overall as they run side by side down the backstretch.
Yeah, this is another pretty good battle further down in the field. Kulaga doing a good job. He had a lot of speed last week in Daytona till his luck ran out. Then he was kind of mired in a couple accidents. Then the back of the field. We're looking at another battle here. This is the number 47 car of Drew Neubauer racing up against that number 31 car, 31 driven by Henry Windham.
Oh, and we've got side-by-side for the lead. That is Emily Howe really trying to drive that Salmon 83 down to the inside. Almost had the move done coming off of 4, but not quite close enough. We tick over here working on lap 63. So time is running out a little bit for Emily. She has got to try to get this move on, but it looks like Sean Campbell has firmly staked that number 26 in the lead. Watch him, though, almost into the outside wall.
Yeah, not holding anything back, really getting everything he can out of those tires, kind of making him a little bit angry coming up off the corner. This has got to be Howe just licking her chops. You can see Cass Silliman, again, she's probably licking her chops as well. Kind of hear the Jaws theme after a while. Howe has just been sitting back here in second, kind of saying, okay, you lead, I'm going to keep pressuring you until you make a single mistake, and then I'm going to be on you like white on rice.
Exactly, and here she comes as they come up on a little bit more of lap traffic. That is John Casey that they're having to maneuver their way around, sending both cars down to the low side. They're going to have TJ Hanley about 1.5 seconds up the road from them as well. Could this be an opportunity here for Emily Howe? She dives the car down to the inside. It doesn't quite look like she's got the move done, and momentum is going to come back to favor Sean Campbell. Howe is going to get closed off there, not able to get it done working on lap 65.
Oh, caution's out, DJ.
Caution is out. It looks like maybe Judith Cooper I see is falling down the order, and yep, indeed it is.
Yeah, another prismatic driver having a little bit of trouble here tonight. We're going to get a replay here to see what the cause for caution is. You can see Matthew Plaisance just behind her. Here's the replay of what happened. You can see this car kind of already stepping out on her, not really any place for that car behind to go, and just kind of gets into the wall there.
Yeah, and a little bit of a pancake there to the outside as well, so some definite damage there for Judith and that number 4 machine. So that's going to throw out a caution. And, well, Austin, you said in about 20 or 30 laps time, you may want to come back in and get a fresh set of boots on. We're going to be about 30 laps to go. Do you make that call?
I think so. I think you have to. I mean, the tire fall off when these guys started. You know, you look at one of the leading drivers. You take Campbell, for example. When they went green, they were running about 30.2s. At the tail end of the run, they were running 31 flats. That's about 0.8 of a second of fall off. I think at that point, you do have to come down and get tires. I'd be coming down pit road for sure, but we'll see what these guys do.
Looks like your leaders all coming in. Those 2 drivers that you see staying out there, that is TJ Handler and a couple of lap cars, I believe Ariel Uretsky as well. So they're both going to be coming down potentially next time because they are a lap down. They are not able to pit with the leaders.
Yeah, basically next time by, the pit road is going to open for all the drivers that are 1 lap down and the lucky dog driver. So all those guys will be able to pit. We'll see if there are any wave around drivers. I don't think we'll have any. We might have 1 or 2, but you can see just how much the order right now running is being mixed up by all these pit stops.
Yeah, indeed it is. So we're waiting to see who is going to be fastest out of the stall, and it looks like it's going to be Campbell Silliman able to jump a position over Emily Howe. Howe is going to be relegated back to 3rd, and I think Caitlin Height is going to come out in 4th.
Yeah, definitely a pretty large shakeup here. Sean Campbell still going to be your leader. Second place is Howe, and then Silliman. Oh, Silliman actually might have had some trouble there getting off pit road.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening there to the 25. She looks like she's dropping down the order.
This might have been a pit road speeding penalty, EOL for sure, but you can get an EOL for a lot of things. We're going to get a replay here.
Looks like she's just deliberately keeping that car in second, letting everybody by her. Yeah, I think that's an EOL of some kind there. Maybe passing under yellow coming into pit lane. I'm not sure.
Maybe it could also be speeding, unsafe pit entry. We'll see if she comes down pit road again. No, she doesn't. So we should get an updated leaderboard here of all the drivers. You can see that number 63 car waiting for the wave around. That's Errol Uriksoy. So Errol obviously expects we're going to get another caution here in just a couple laps. So he's hoping to use that wave around to his advantage.
Yeah, indeed. So Errol Uriksoy will be very, very happy about that, to be able to get that 63 back onto the lead lap, getting that wave around from him. I anticipate we should get lights off this time by, but I've been wrong on that before, so we'll have to see exactly what happens.
Yeah, I would reckon you're correct here so far, DJ, but there's been numerous occasions tonight where I feel like all the cautions have been about one lap longer than they should have. And sometimes that is, you know, we've been accustomed to some of the races we commentate fast cautions where they can kind of take a lap or two off of them, as opposed to the real ones they have in NASCAR. In NASCAR, the cautions sometimes can be about 10 laps long. In iRacing, because everything is, you know, done by timing and scoring on the computer side, there's no humans involved, we can, you know, kind of whip through these cautions a little bit faster. So kind of just getting used to fast cautions.
Indeed, and we'll be able to find that out here with not a lot of time, as drivers are going to cross over the start-finish line. Let's keep an eye on those pace truck lights. They are out.
Yep, Uriksoy's going to put his foot on the loud pedal. He's going to want to do his best to catch up to the back of this field. Now he's going to be only 2 laps down as compared to 1, so going to have to get his butt up here to make sure he doesn't lose any more positions here if we go green for a long enough time.
Yeah, indeed. So that is going to put him in that position. And now Sean Campbell will be starting off in the lead of this race. Emily Howe will be second. Caitlin Height and Mark Redford will be your top 4. Lila Lexier will be in 5th, and Harry Wills fifth, excuse me, as drivers work their way off of turn 2 right now. Predictions here for these final 30 laps, Austin?
No patience, all aggression, absolutely no give, all take from all these drivers. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Quick update too, though. Cass Silliman dropped to the end of the longest line like we talked about. She's now scored in 22nd position. DJ, predictions from yourself?
I think you're right. I think it's going to be aggression. I think you are going to see a lot of drivers being very, very tough. And I don't think you have seen the last time that the yellow flag will be flying here today, unfortunately. Just noticed that is a faux BMW livery on the back of that car for Caitlin Height. I love that. As we get ready to go back racing again, there goes the green. Sean Campbell able to get on it. Emily Howe caught a little bit napping there. Caitlin Height going to try to steam on through, but it looks like Emily Howe is going to be able to hold on for second. It's side by side for P2.
Yeah, it looks like as opposed to all the earlier restarts, that driver in 3rd position not quite able to get going, as well as the driver in the pole position, or 1st position rather. So you can see Height really now challenging to the inside there of Mark Redford, instead of usually being able to challenge the driver that was in 2nd. So she would have been up there with Howe. You can see 3 wide in the back here for about the 5th or 6th position.
And that is James Howard, your pole sitter there, the 29, working his way back up through the field, trying to get by Lila Lexier and Harry Wills right now. Make that by Thomas Fisher a little bit as he works his way down to the inside, as he's really trying to get some speed, get some moving here. We've got a good battle up for the front between Emily Howe and Mark Redford trying to push his way forward.
Yeah, Redford here goes down to the inside. You can see momentum down there. He is going to be able to clear Howe, but he's not going to be able to clear Campbell, so he's going to have to be really quick if he wants to get up there and kind of blunt some of that momentum. He's going to be able to get up there to get some draft behind Campbell, but obviously Howe at that huge run on the outside, you can see Height following her.
Indeed, Height trying to follow her way around there, maybe showing a little bit of passivity, trying to just hold back here a little bit, but they've got to watch out. The number 29, your pole sitter, James Howard, starting to charge his way up through the field. He's going to split the difference there. That's going to be him trying to go to the middle there on Caitlin Height.
Yeah, honestly, if you're James Howard right now, you got to remind yourself what happened on the first long green flag run of this race. You know, his tires kind of came back to bite him. They got very angry towards the end, so he's got to be very careful here to make sure he doesn't burn off those Goodyear Eagles. You know, I think Howe right there kind of showing some, like he called it, passivity. I think that's her just waiting, kind of holding on to her tires for the end of this race here.
Little bit of a check up there between Howe and Height, and that is going to bring Redford, Fisher, and Howard right back into it. Almost 3 wide. That's Howard.
They are 3 wide.
Splitting the difference, going down the middle across the start-finish line.
Yeah, riding along with James Howard. He was the guy that went 3 wide in between Redford, and I believe that's the 95 of Harry Wills. Whoa, Height goes for a slide, collected by Redford.
Oh, no, and there is that dreaded yellow that we said may come out. That is going to be Caitlin Height, who is running such a great race.
Man, that is a hard sting for Height there. You hate to see that. We're going to have to get a replay of what happened there. I don't know if that was just snap oversteer, maybe a little bit of net code. We're going to see a replay here of just what happened. Yep, she just hit that bump going into 1, got the car 2 sideways. She was probably going to save that car, but unfortunately, there was just nowhere for the 77 of Redford to go. You can see she's collected by, I think that was the 44 car there of Howe. They were going by too fast for me to read those numbers, but yeah, that definitely a huge blow for Height.
Yeah, indeed. As there you can see that 16 machine hitting that bump, like you said, just trying to catch it. Almost had it, and then that rear end just wants to swap around on her. Catches a little bit of the apron. Yep, and there is just nothing she can do at that point.
No, nothing you can do in that point. And of course, nothing Redford can do either. It looks like Howe's going to come down pit road. I'm surprised by this move here. Howe, Howard, I think that's Redford. Obviously, he's going down for some pit repair. I think Kulaga down there. Yep.
Yeah, it also looks like Harry Wills, another one of the top leaders to come down. But Campbell, Fisher, Lilac Zier, and Braden Malang, as well as Steve Martinez and Justin Delano all staying out, Jonathan Havey as well. So this is going to really change around the order here. And I'm not sure how much of an advantage it's going to give to these drivers that are coming down pit lane right now for a fresh set of boots.
It's going to give them an advantage for sure. I think it's only going to be worth about 2 or 3 tenths. I feel like, honestly, ideally, I would want the caution to come out about 10 laps later than this and then come down and pit. At that point, the difference might be about a half a second every lap. I think I would have stayed out. If it were me, I would have done what Campbell and Fisher did here. I don't think I would have come down pit road. We've barely put any laps in our tires since the last time we were running. The drop-off we saw was really only about a couple tenths of a second. Looking at Sean Campbell, I mean, his lap time, you know, basically they mirror each other. It's practically palindromic. 32.8, 36, 34, 36, 32. So it really, I mean, pretty much equal, even, Steven on these laps here.
All right, so this is going to set up a very interesting strategy run here through this final part of the race. Looking out the back here of the 47 as drivers work their way around here in the final stages. Only about 25 laps to go, so it is going to be very, very interesting, as they say.
Yeah, DJ, pay window's going to open up here in about 25, now 24 laps. That's when points are going to get paid. There's no money on the line, but this is a championship at stake. You want to do as well as you can in every single one of these races. Obviously, Fisher doing a great job to kind of battle back a couple times through this race. Same goes for Cass Silliman. She was in 22nd at the drop of the green flag before. Obviously doing a great job to kind of make her way up through some cars. She did not come down pit road underneath that last caution. This caution at least, so she's now up in the 8th position. The first car to come down pit road, I believe, was Howe in that number 99 car, so right now she sits about 15th on the leaderboard.
Indeed, I think that's about right. Yeah, she is exactly 15th on the leaderboard, as we've got at least one more lap of caution around here. The Ashboro driver of Sean Campbell in that Ford Mustang going to lead us around as they go. Working it around here. This is full aggression time, I've got to think, Austin.
Yeah, after this point, you're pretty much full send. I think if you're Campbell, you can be a little bit less aggressive than the other drivers. If you're Fisher, I think you're full attack. I definitely think Lilac's here. She's probably going to be on full attack as well. I think this is, if you're going to make a move, you got to do it now. You want to get that clean air right away. Obviously, we've seen, though, lots of good racing, lots of raceability if you're behind another car.
Yeah, indeed. As here we go, double wide, getting ready to restart here with 23 laps to go. We will start back with 22 laps to go as they come to the green. Sean Campbell going to be leading us to the flag. Thomas Fisher to his outside. Braden Maling and Lilac Zier behind them.
I think at this point, I think they give leader lane choice, but I honestly, if you're the leader, you can kind of fire off and be really uncontested into turn one each and every time, so you're kind of right where you want to be. And then if you're really Campbell right now, you want to be able to see Zier kind of get up there and challenge Fisher, make sure they're too wide so that they can kind of fight with each other, burn up their stuff, kind of block everyone else, the momentum from behind. And really quick, though, shout out to the driver of the number 7 car, Braden Melling. He started all the way back in 31st, so doing a great job to get up a whopping 27 spots here.
Yeah, up 27. That is a very, very good run. Remember, Braden, though, has not come in for tires, as have most of these drivers up front, so that's really going to change things up. The first driver to have come in for tires, that's going to be Dean Timms and James Howard back in 13th and 14th, so that's going to be the big cutoff point in this field. Pace car getting ready to pull in here to end this 6th caution with 22 laps to go at the line, waiting for Campbell to get on the loud pedal. There he goes. Thomas Fisher caught a little bit napping by that, trying to block off Lilac Zier a little bit to the inside in that 89, and Braden Maling going to be up on the high side.
Luckily for Fisher, he was kind of able to hold even Stevens there with Lilac Zier, keep her kind of behind him. Now those two are going to be sideways down the backstretch. This is exactly what Sean Campbell wanted. If these two can keep fighting each other, they're not going to catch him as easily.
And Dean and James Howard already up a couple of positions there, up into 11th, so keeping an eye on those drivers who took the fresh tires. But up front, we've got to keep our eyes focused on Thomas Fisher and Lilac, because the two of them look like they are trying to close in on Sean Campbell ahead of them.
Yeah, 1 lap down. Howard, like you mentioned, already into the 11th position, looking for that bright red car. He's just about behind the pack, behind these guys fighting. You can see they're kind of 3-4 wide down the backstretch. Whoa, there's a huge wreck back there.
Yeah, that is a big one there, and that looks to be the 95 of Harry Wills getting sent around. I think Mark Redford may also be involved in it. Not sure about Henry Wyndham.
This is definitely going to end the day for these guys if they already took their fast repair. I think for Redford, he's already taken his fast repair, so his night might be over. I don't think Wills has taken his fast repair yet, so he might be able to come down pit road, get that fresh backup car, come back out, and still kind of challenge for maybe a top 20, top 15 here before the end of the night. And we said it, DJ, cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, indeed, they do, and we will get restarted. And by the way, we do have green-white checkers enabled in this league. Oh, that just looked like a big snap there for the 95. Tried to catch it and had to chase it up the track, and that is what got Redford involved. Redford, an absolutely hapless passenger.
Yeah, nothing he could have done. He probably had no idea the 95 was even spinning that far down the track. Visibility in these cars is extremely limited unless you're using VR or you have triples. If you're on a single monitor, there's not much you're going to see. You see Thomas Fisher, he's coming down pit road. I feel like after this, DJ, your bed's kind of made. If you're in the top 10 or 12 cars right now, your bet is pretty much made. You got to lay in it. Fisher obviously choosing to come down pit road. He's not going to have that much fresher tires than Howard and all the people that pitted underneath that last caution. So I don't know if I would have done this, but obviously he's saying like, hey, maybe I made a mistake. I'm going to come in and try to rectify that right now. I want to have new tires, and this might work out to his advantage. We'll have to see.
We will have to see indeed. But up front, those drivers stay relatively the same there. Braden Maling falling down the order a little bit, promoting Justin Delano. But it is Campbell, Zier, and Silliman, your top 3, as we should get restarted with, I think, 17 minutes to go, if that sounds right.
Yeah, 17 minutes, about 17 laps as well. I think right now, if you're any of these top 10 drivers, you did not want to see this caution, DJ, because all this does is basically allows drivers like Howard, Howe, Height to kind of use those four fresh field goods they got underneath that last caution to catch you, whereas normally they'd have to kind of run you down and then pass you, whereas now they just have to pass you. They've already caught you due to this caution. Not really what our leader, Sean Campbell, wanted to see at all.
No, not at all. But I will say Lilac and Cass both seem like they showed some good speed on that last restart. They may not have been able to get the jump on Campbell necessarily, but once they got a couple of laps into it, it certainly looked close. Now, as I was saying beforehand, we will have 3 green-white checkered attempts to finish out this field. So we have had 7 cautions on the day, but we will more than likely be finishing under green.
Yeah, definitely going to finish under green for sure. I have a lot of faith in these guys. I don't expect we're going to need 1 green-white checkered for sure, not more than 2. If we do get to the 3rd by some miracle, I feel like they'll have cleaned their act up by then. But of course, there is always netcode is to play, and sometimes it doesn't even require talent or untalent from the drivers. It's just one of those things that's going to happen. And you know, with the talent in this field, the World Series leagues gets a lot of talented drivers. So I feel like 9 times out of 10, we're not going to need those green-white checkered attempts. But yeah, looks like you're right here, DJ. 17 laps to go. We're going to go back to green.
Yeah, indeed, as everybody working their way around right now, starting to form back up a little bit. That's Lilac Zier just kind of poking her nose to the outside here. Safety car lights are still on, so we will have 1 more lap after this. I anticipate the lights going out, though, and we'll get ready to go back under green. Austin, there have been a few cautions here, but this has been a fantastic race. Some really, really good battling, 2, 3 wide up and down the field.
Yeah, these guys have been extremely clean fighting for the lead. This is the kind of stuff that you hope to see in officials. This is why I race in leagues exclusively. I don't even touch the officials unless it's those giant endurance races. This is the kind of stuff you live for. Lots of clean racing. You know, these guys and gals definitely really respect each other out on the track, and we've seen them racing within inches of one another and not making any contact for the better part of about 60 laps under green flag, just going at it. And for the better part of, 80 laps so far, really just running clean.
Yeah, running really clean. We've obviously seen some netcode coming into play, and we've seen that tricky bump through turn 1 and 2 catch a few drivers out. But other than that, it has been clean and green racing really all the way through. As now we get ready to go back. Sean Campbell, who we ride on board with right now, will be leading us to the green flag. Lilac Zier to his outside. Cass Selman will be lining up behind them with Justin Delano in 4th, Braden Maling and Jonathan Havey in P6.
Taylor Lane, James Howard, Emily Howe, and John Cooper round out your top 10. Of course, Howard being the first driver on those new tires that some of the guys and gals came down pit road and got underneath that last caution. So both the drivers in that 3rd and 4th row, 4th and 5th row, having those new tires, that's kind of where the new tires start.
All right, so we will have to see how it all shakes out as they come to green right here. Sean Campbell will be leading the way. Pace truck scampering off into pit lane as there they go, waiting for it, and Campbell gets another good start. Looks like Cass Silliman able to get a good start as well, trying to put the move on Lilac Zier. Lilac trying to hold on to that outside line. Looks like Justin Delano in there behind, as they all come around the corner here, and it looks like it's going to be Cass Silliman who has the advantage.
Yeah, Campbell deployed the rocket boosters on that restart. You can see Silliman now challenging to the inside of Lilac here down the backstretch. Silliman kind of taking advantage of that same rocket booster draft. You can see the number 7 car. We just spoke about the kind of comeback he had made. Obviously getting a little loose in turns 1 and 2, having to go down to the apron down the backstretch, DJ.
Indeed, is Cass Silliman able to pull that number 25 fully out into 2nd place, though, but a big, big gap developing up to 1st. Call that about 10 car lengths in between the two. That's going to be Lilac trying to go down to the inside a little bit there. Cass Silliman holding on to 2nd place. Couple of cars down again, and that's a car way down to the inside apron.
Yeah, James Howard made his way all the way up to 5th place before the caution came out. That's Thomas Fisher sideways down the backstretch. There was another driver that spun. It looked like off the nose there of that number 29 car. We'll have to get a replay on that. I don't know if there was any kind of foul play there. Looking again at that number 7 machine. We're going to have to see what the cause for caution was here. There's one car that spun to bring out the caution. Another car spun at the exact same time. I'd like to see what happened between both those, because that was weird.
Indeed, it was a little bit strange. Here is going to be the replay that Sean Howard down to the inside was there. Oh, there was contact.
Yeah, that's kind of Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Darlington 2020-esque, where he's kind of left-reared him into the inside wall there. I can't imagine Justin Delano is going to be too pleased with that.
No, I can't imagine Justin will be either. A little bit of a pit maneuver there, and that's going to get everything restacked here. And then this is the 92. Looks like that car just lost it on itself. That's Thomas Fisher.
Yep, really easy to do here with the way these cars are set up. They're kind of loose to start the first couple laps here, and they really come into their own and start handling a lot better by the end of the run. You can see a couple drivers now coming down pit road. That's Mark Redford and the number 77 car without a fascia. Justin Delano, the car that was just pit maneuvered down the back. You got Henry Windham in that number 31 car.
Yeah, indeed. As there you can see the 38 coming down pit lane. That is Delano getting that free repair there as they go. But this is going to re-rack here. I think we should get going with about 10 or 11 laps left.
Yep, and I'll be honest, all these cautions really playing well into the hands of Howard and Emily Howe. Those drivers all making up a lot of spots. Howard is now into the 4th position. Howe is into the 6th position. So really turning me into a liar here. It was actually a great decision, it looks like, to come down pit road and get those tires about 3 cautions ago.
Yeah, indeed, as that is proving out to be a little bit of an interesting decision there. As I've got to say, though, even with that incident, James Howard back up into P4. That could be a little bit of a change here.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what kind of restart he can get. Obviously, it looks like it's been the leader on all these restarts, really able to pull away. We'll see if Howard can try and time this out to get as good of restart as Campbell's been getting. But really, that was a fantastic restart on Silliman's part. We're going to see if she can kind of duplicate that same thing. Now that she's in 2nd place, you got Lilac's ear. Now she's the driver in 3rd.
Yeah, indeed. We'll have to see if she's able to do it. And what we've seen kind of the trend here on these restarts has really been the 3rd place car being able to get the good jump over the 2nd place car. Now, obviously, Cass Silliman, she's going to be trying to reverse that trend a little bit, but it can be a little bit hard, Austin, because of the way you're starting out. You've got to be to the outside and kind of looking to your left. You can't immediately respond as well as you should.
No, you can't. You kind of got to get your car right down there on the inside, get your car down right on the guy's door to the inside of you, or girl, to try and see when they move. Otherwise, you kind of basically have to go off sound. You got to listen for that car on the inside to fire off, and as soon as they do, you do. It's a lot easier, though, to just kind of look, because light always travels faster than sound. So ideally, you want to be that guy in 3rd place or girl. Usually, they've been getting a better run off on the restart, but Campbell showed that you had a pretty good shot of sticking to the outside, retaining 2nd place if you were out there on the restart.
Yeah, indeed. As drivers working their way around here, 12 laps to go at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As they come around, I think we should have pace car lights off this time by, and that should get us restarted on a 10-lap shootout to the green. Let's keep our eyes fixed here to see if indeed those lights go out, and it looks like they are.
Yeah, we're going to go green next time by. Going to be 10 laps to go, and at this point, pay window's going to open up pretty soon here. We're going to see what Howard can do with those new tires. Looking for Fisher on the leaderboard. Obviously, he's right now back in the 21st position after that spin. We'll see how many positions he can make up with those new tires. He's going to have some of the newest in the field here.
Yes, he will. And remember, that was part of the strategy that you were talking about. And Emily Howe, another one that we should mention, they're in 5th place, also made that tire strategy. So she will be in a good position if those tires do prove out to be helpful.
Yeah, we'll see just how helpful they can be. The cautions have really been helping out these drivers that have taken their tires in the last couple of cautions. Obviously, Sean Campbell hasn't wanted to see any of these. He's been easily the driver kind of clear cut ahead of the rest of the field as soon as all these cautions come out. But, pace car is getting ready to make that left turn down pit road.
Yes, indeed it is, and we're ready to go racing here for the final 10 laps of the WSL NASCAR Series US. There goes the pace car down pit lane, giving control of the field over to Sean Campbell. Cass Silliman and Lilac Zier, along with James Howard, waiting for that 26 to get on the loud pedal, and there he goes. Again, that outside lane getting a little bit held up there as Campbell is able to get a 3, 4, 5 car length lead as they get going. Lilac Zier, though, not able to get the move that she would have wanted down to the inside, and it looks like Cass Silliman and James Howard are going to be able to power around the outside.
Campbell timed that restart out to perfection. You could see that Cass Silliman is getting closer and closer to pulling even, and as soon as she decelerated to make sure she didn't beat him to the line, Campbell just put his foot on the loud pedal and drove away. You can see he's really starting to be challenged, though, by Cass just behind him, and then don't look too far back. That's Howard in the last podium spot here. He's licking his chops. This is where the Jaws theme comes into play, and don't look too far back behind him. Pass for the lead, DJ.
Cass Silliman sending a mega move down to the inside through 1 and 2 with 9 laps to go, and
Caution.
we've got a caution.
That was the perfectly timed move. I cannot believe that.
Oh, my goodness. She saw it and went for it. That is Brendan Malang, who, remember, was running up as high as the top 5 earlier on, having a problem coming through 1 and 2.
Yeah, that bump catching another driver out. We're going to see what the cause for caution was, though. Sometimes it's net code. Sometimes it's just hitting the wall. Sometimes it is that bump, that dreaded bump we've talked about so many times. And, oh, DJ, how about that move for the lead? That was incredible. I don't know if that was a bobble from Campbell. Unfortunately, we were kind of back there focused on Howard. Now we're looking at the cause for caution here. Yeah, he just hooked himself into the wall there. You can see he was getting pretty sideways, tried to catch that, and just being caught up by the immediate, invert from lack of grip to no grip, and then immediate grip here in the corner. You can see lack of grip and no grip, and then immediate grip to the right-hand side forces that car into the outside wall. Major damage to that car.
Yeah, major damage indeed to that car. Is that? Oh, no, that's a fake out. That's
yep, that was close. I was looking at that too.
That was James Howard feinting coming down pit lane and absolutely convincing your commentators up here in the booth that he was going to be going down in the lane there. But Howard will stay out. He will stay in 3rd place position. And that's been a little bit of the catbird seat for these restarts here, Austin. It looks like that 3rd place has been able to get a good jump, and he may be able to get something over Sean Campbell here.
Yeah, I think so far Campbell's been the best driver starting in that 2nd position. This time, though, I really got to hand it to Cass Silliman. She saw the opportunity. She got a really poor restart based just purely on the timing. Out of sheer bad luck. I don't know if it's bad luck or really just perfect timing on Campbell's part, but she was kind of eking up there, holding her pace, and as soon as she noticed that she was kind of dead even with Campbell, didn't want to beat him to the line and incur a penalty, she kind of let off, and as soon as that happened, Campbell put his foot on the loud pedal, so that was the exact wrong timing, but Cass sure showed him, but she got herself up to the lead with a pass at just the perfect time. I don't think she could have timed that out any better. I think if I'm any one of these drivers, I'm buying a lottery ticket after this race.
I think I agree with you. And you talked about that window being open, that pay window being open, and Cass Silliman really recognizing it. That was an aggressive move down to the inside. She wasn't given a whole lot of room and just really stuck the nose of that 25 car down into the corner. Absolutely love that aggression there from her, and I hope that stays up through the rest of it.
I think so. I definitely think it's gonna. We should see the lights on the pace car go out in the next couple laps. I would assume the next 1 or 2. We'll have to see. Obviously, still on, so these drivers are still going to be single file for one more lap. Currently, we have about 26 cars on the lead lap. You can see that's Harry Wills getting his fast repair, fixing some damage there on the inside, just barely beating the pace car off pit road to make sure that he doesn't go a lap down. You look at Howard and Howe, the two drivers in the second row. Those are the people on the fresher tires so far.
Yeah, indeed they are. So drivers here coming around, lights still on the pace car. So that means we will have a 4-lap shootout to the end. Now remember, 3 green-white checker attempts. So if we get a little bit more caution coming in, we will have a green ending to this race.
Yeah, these guys at World Series leagues put a huge emphasis on clean racing, so I feel like we're definitely going to go clean and green to the end. I don't know if we're going to need to use one of those green-white checkered attempts, but if we get another caution after this green flag comes out, we're definitely going to use one. I don't see us using more than one, but I think we're in for a definite treat before this race is over.
I think we are as well, as lights should go off this time by on the pace car, rather. Austin, you and I have been calling too many dirt races. I keep calling it the pace truck.
Yeah, I'm sitting here kind of surprised I'm not having to wipe all this dirt off my face.
Indeed, but lights do indeed go out as we get ready to go double wide for the restart with 4 laps to go at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Cass Silliman up front doing a great job. She's in the lead. You see Sean Campbell to her outside. Completing the podium positions is James Howard, the man who sat on pole for this race, led the majority of the laps until he got really loose after being challenged for the lead for so many of them. Then you got Howe in 4th position, and Height rounds out the top 5. Really good recovery there for Height. She spun with about 30 laps to go, so for her to recover this well from being a 20th or 30th with about 25 laps to go. Really just outstanding job for her.
Yeah, indeed. Lilac Zier, another one here that is having a great run. She's up 5 positions on the day, currently running around in 6th, in prime contention to be able to take advantage of a top 5 here today. So as we get ready, cars coming through turn 3 right now, all eyes starting to shift over to Cass Silliman to see when the driver of the 25 machine is going to get on the loud pedal and start taking us away, holding that car underneath about 25 miles an hour. Sean Campbell getting a little bit aggressive, trying to be a little bit close to her to see if he can close that door. But here we go, and Silliman gets on the loud pedal. There it is. It's a pretty decent start for her. Not perfect, but she's able to pull about a 2-3 car length advantage as they dive down. It's going to be a side-by-side battle for P2 between James Howard and Sean Campbell as they work their way into 1.
Yeah, Howard's got to be careful he doesn't hit this bump wrong. He is going to clear the 26 of Sean Campbell, so now Howard up into 2nd position. If you're Silliman, you're looking all over your mirror right now, making sure you cover off this move. Obviously, you got the fresher tires behind you, but you have the power of the clean air.
Got the power of the clean air, but here comes James Howard with a big power move down to the inside. Looked like there was a little bit of wiggle there from the 25. They're going to bang doors down on the apron with 3 to go.
Yeah, Howard dives his car back down to the inside. He's got to be really careful for this bump. You see Campbell there looking to cut it down to the inside, down the backstretch to get this draft here. He thinks better making it 3 wide. He's going to instead push Howard into turn 3.
Tries to give Howard a little bit of a bump, and Howard looks like he's got the advantage as they come out of the corner, but a little bit of a wiggle there, and that's going to give momentum back to Cass Silliman as they come by the flag stand with 2 laps to go. Silliman going to try to hold down on that white line, gives Howard a little bit of room to come back up, but that's about a car length and a half advantage there for the 25.
Yeah, Howard getting really big wiggle. He's going to slide through turns 1 and 2 super loose. Oh, forces Campbell hard in the outside wall. That's Howe spinning down to the inside of that salmon-colored car. Huge wreck behind these guys. This is the big one.
You read my mind. That is going to completely shuffle over the order. Cars and debris everywhere all over this track.
Well, AJ, that was a humdinger. That was incredible. That was really something. We're going to have to see a replay of this wreck. I think that wrecked pretty much everyone in the field with the exception of Cass Silliman and Lilac Zier. So those 2 drivers getting through this wreck clean. You see it all starts with Howard getting extremely loose here. He starts to wiggle the car. Absolutely nowhere for Campbell to go. He comes up the track, bounces off. Huge amount of net code there. Howard screaming down the inside retaining wall. I want to see a replay of that. That was incredible. I don't know how iRacing physics thought that was possible, but whoa.
Whoa is about the only way to describe it, I think. Just an absolute kerfluffle there on the backstretch. All right, here we're going to watch it again. This is Campbell and Howard. So Howard gets loose. Campbell really has nowhere to go as they come in. There you can see that initial contact. Give some credit there to Lilac Zier, who was able to avoid all of this. She finds her way up into second place right now. And there is the more contact. That's going to collect cars in front of them. Boom. Oh, no, Lilac did get a piece of that.
Yeah, she got a pretty big piece. She's going to have to come down pit road and maybe get her faster pair if she hasn't already used it. You can see how, though, barrel rolling down to the inside, Campbell barrel rolling as well. That was incredible. Yeah, really hard licks for all these drivers here as you go all the way down to the field. I don't think any one of these drivers, maybe Kulaga has got a clean car. Not quite sure at this point.
Well, it's certainly reset the running order up at the top. Judith Cooper, one of those cars that got very, very heavily clobbered by it. But up at the front, it continues to be Cass Silliman, Lilac Zier behind her, Casey Metzger behind Lilac, with John Cooper and Dean Timms rounding out your top five. So a big, big change in the faces that we're used to seeing up at the top of the pops.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is a huge flip to all the running order that we've seen so far. Interestingly enough, I think Lilac Zier is still out there. She might have just net-coated through all those cars and has no damage. It looked like she has a little bit of damage on the rear fascia of that car. And I got to say, though, the racing we saw before the caution flew there was absolutely insane. You saw Howard kind of go for the lead. I don't know if he got into the back of Cass Silliman there coming off of turn 4. If he didn't, that was extremely close. She just kind of wiggled a little bit by happenstance. And you just saw the aggression in Silliman as soon as she got hit a little bit, if she did, by the 29 car. She tried to pinch him down on the apron as hard as she could before they went into turns 1 and 2, and you can see that aggression kind of just showing, really coming up on all these drivers.
Yeah, indeed. You could tell that they were running to the end here. And as we sort of hinted at, we will have a green-white checker attempt here. So for those unfamiliar, we will get the green flag, then drivers will circle around and get the white flag. If they get the white flag, the next flag will end it. So that means that if there is a wreck coming out of turn 2 on that white flag lap, drivers will keep going all the way around. If we get a wreck on the first lap before we've come to the white flag, we'll re-rack them and reset them again.
Yeah, we've got 3 attempts at those. This is the first one. You can see on that left-hand side of your screen, right underneath the 10th caution, green, white, checkered attempt number 1. So when we go green, there's going to be 3 laps to go, then 2, and then either the white flag ends the race, we get a yellow, and then the race is over for sure. Official iRacing timing and scoring is going to dictate who starts where when we go back green. I'm looking again, though, the outside of Lilac Zier's car, the right-hand side, she has a considerable amount of damage on her right front fender and her right side door, so we're going to see how that affects her as we get going here.
Well, I've got to think, though, that you don't want to give up track position. I mean, even if that car is going to be struggling a little bit, once you get it up to temperature and up to speed, you're still going to be looking at maybe a top 5 if you can just hold on to it. So I think staying out here is probably the right option for Lilac.
I definitely agree with you there, DJ. I think staying out is definitely the better option. I mean, worst case scenario, you're probably going to finish 18th. We've only got about 18 cars on the lead lap, the last of those being James Howard, who's just barely clung on to the lead lap underneath this caution. You can see the lights out atop the iRacing pace car as he leads them through turns 1 and 2 and onto the backstretch. Currently, your top 5 going to be Silliman, Zier, Metzger. He's the name we haven't spoken about all day. Then John D. Cooper, and then Dean Timms, the number 46 car, round out your top 5.
Indeed. So as we come out of the backstretch now, we will have our first green-white checker attempt here, and leading the field to that green flag will be Cass Silliman with Lilac Zier to her outside. Casey Metzger, that's going to be an interesting one to see what Casey is able to do. Remember, we've talked about that third-place position being kind of in the catbird seat and maybe being able to get a bit of a jump, especially with the damage now that Lilac has to that number 89 machine. green. But all of that is speculative, and what we will know for sure is that we are going to be going back to green here in just a few hundred yards. iRacing pace car ready to scamper off down into pit lane, and there it goes. The number 25 in control of the field, waiting for Cass Silliman to get on the loud pedal, and there she goes. It's a good jump there for her. She's got about a car length and a half between herself and Casey Metzger, and that's going to be Lilac trying to hold out there a little bit, but looks like she's losing a little bit of ground.
Yeah, Metzger with a really good restart. I'm curious to see how much newer his tires might be compared to the rest of the drivers up there. We know how old Silliman... Oh, another caution immediately. Another big wreck.
Another big wreck coming through turn one. I think maybe TJ Handley may be involved in that one, potentially Taylor Lane. Lots of drivers there looking like they got caught out. Jeff Carollo also may have been caught out in that one.
Yeah, lots of fast cars getting torn up in that accident there. We're going to have to see a replay here to just determine the cause for caution. This is just what Cass Silliman wanted to see. Lilac Zier obviously retains her position. Casey Metzger kind of got that P2 spot just a little bit too late before the caution came out. This is the cause for caution here. Looks like the number 97 of Daniel Floria. No, he scoots right on by. Oh, as TJ Handley and Jeff Carollo getting involved. Yeah, nowhere for Henry Wyndham to go.
Yeah, Henry Wyndham there just a little bit taken out by circumstance there, unfortunately. And so that is going to re-rack us here for green-white checker attempt number 2. TJ Handley, I'm not sure how much damage that number 3 got, but Cass Silliman going to continue to lead here as they go around.
Yeah, Cass, I don't know if she's lucky that this caution came out. Metzger fired off really well to kind of challenge Cass. I don't know if he could have quite mounted a challenge onto the back of Silliman, but so far she retains the lead. This is green-white checkered attempt number 2, and we finally get ready to re-rack and restack them.
Indeed, and remember, we will have 3 attempts here, so if this one doesn't go for some reason, we will have another attempt to be able to finish under green flag. But Silliman there, it's got to be said, had a pretty good restart there. Not nearly as big of a jump as we've seen some of the other drivers having, but certainly enough to be able to hold her position, and that is exactly what Cass needs to do here on this restart.
Yeah, that's what she needs to do. She needs to, as soon as the pace car goes, I really think she needs to fire. She needs to catch all the other drivers napping, as it were, on the restart, and then just kind of pull away and see if she can retain that lead. I feel like the bigger gap you have as soon as you restart the race, the bigger gap you're going to have at the end. It's not quite like a plate track where you can't get too far, too good of a restart compared to the rest of the field. Then you're just going to draft up behind you, pass you, kind of leave you as a sitting duck here. We're not having to worry about the draft, certainly not worrying about any slingshot opportunities. I feel like you want to catch them all napping.
Yeah, indeed. I think that is definitely the way that you want to go. You want to try to catch as many people napping as possible, if possible, to be able to get your way up forward. I do anticipate these pace car lights will go off this time by, and let us see if that prediction does indeed come true. It does not. We've got one more lap yellow.
I'm not letting you read my palms, DJ. I was with you, though. Honestly, I was with you. I was really hoping, too. But anyways, they'll definitely go off next time by, hopefully. So far, I really feel like if those new tires pay dividends, I don't know where the newest tires are in the field currently, but in terms of a 3-lap shootout, you'd really want to be in the top 5 to have a decent shot at this win. We'd have to go green for the entire time.
All right. Yeah, I think you're right about that in terms of that shootout, but we will have to see Cass Silliman, Lilac Zier, Casey Metzger, John Cooper, John Cooper, and Justin Delano still unchanged in your top 5, really only able to get through a couple of corners right now as they work their way around. So not a whole lot of chance for these leaders to get a pass done on that last green-white checker.
No, I mean, to be honest, Casey Metzger had cleared Lilac Zier for the 2nd position, in my opinion, before the caution came out. But, of course, iRacing time and scoring goes back to the last scoring loop. And for them, it scored Zier ahead of Metzger. Of note, too, that rounding out the top 10, you see Dean Timms in 6th, Mark Redford in 7th for the number 77 car, kind of a Marty Robbins throwback, that 777. Mark still does not have a front fascia, so he's just trying to get by on all the draft of the cars ahead of him. Then you got Eric Kulaga in that black and white number 66 car. In 9th place is Dan Floria. And then rounding out the top 10, Harry Wills. Harry making a pretty good comeback. We've seen him make a couple good comebacks all the way up through the field. How about TJ Handley in 11th place?
Yeah, remember, TJ was one of those first cars that we saw getting lapped earlier on, and he now finds himself on the lead lap in 11th place. So a really, really good run there for the number 3. So very, very spectacular for him. But now the pace car lights are off, so we will be able to get back under green flag racing for green-white checker attempt number 2 here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Cass Silliman down on the inside. We're going to see what kind of strategy she plays on this restart. So far, she's been kind of relaxed and reserved, kind of waiting for iRacing to throw the green flag. She's been starting on her own, but she has been getting the best of restarts in terms of gapping the field, leaving them all sleeping. Lilac Zier has proven to be one of the better restarters in this league. Then you got Casey Metzger. He shot off out of a cannon on that last restart. iRacing pace car about to make the hard left turn down pit road, though.
Indeed it is, as we get ready to go back racing again here. 2 to go at the line, waiting for the jump forecast. Silliman, she waits on it. There she goes. It's a car length advantage for her over Casey Metzger. Metzger's not going to be waiting around, though, starting to put pressure onto Lilac Zier to the outside. It's going to have to be a little bit of a defensive line here for Cass Silliman if she wants to be able to head off that attack from Casey Metzger. And indeed, it looks like that's exactly what she's going to do, as here comes the momentum to Lilac Zier.
Yeah, Metzger and Zier made contact going into turns 1 and 2. Zier made sure to kind of pinch down Casey and made sure he had to take that bump down on the inside, kind of blunt his momentum. We're still green as we go through turns 3 and 4. It's Stillman out front with a 0.2 of a second lead.
White flag being readied by Barney the Flagman, and there it is. The next flag will finish it out. So here we go. Cass Silliman continues to lead. Lilac Zier getting past in the process there by Casey Metzger, trying to make that high line work. They continue to go around. And there sounds like there's a big wreck behind, but that's not going to save anything for our leaders. Casey Metzger able to make that move on Lilac Zier, but Lilac going to try to fight back down to the inside. Cass Silliman continues to lead. Casey Metzger gets the momentum off of the line. They come down to the charging of the stripe. It's going to be Cass Silliman, Casey Metzger, and Lilac Zier.
What a finish. That was incredible. We're going to have to get a replay, though, of that wreck that happened as they all came out of turn 2 on the white flag lap. I think that was Fisher. Barrel rolling down to the inside. Not quite sure, though. We were so far away as they headed down into turns 3 and 4 with that camera angle. Obviously, though, a couple good fast cars being taken out. This is the replay here.
All right, just looks like a little bit of turnaround and a big hit there for the
Judith
99.
Cooper, a great save there, and then the number 99 car of, well, it's hard to tell. Well, obviously that's the 99 car on our screens, but not the 99 in Tommy and scoring. Taylor Lane.
All right, that was Taylor Lane that you saw get taken out, but the story of the day is Cass Silliman, who takes those victory donuts up there on the Las Vegas Motor Speedway start-finish line. The 25 able to hold on to victory there. That was pretty tight there, I'm not going to lie. She did a fantastic job to defend that finishing position.
Yeah, she did a great job. Honestly, she made it look really easy. She just kind of drove off and finished the race. Luckily for her, Metzger and Zier were kind of fighting amongst themselves, and she made it look easy getting that huge restart like she did, and then she just kind of drove her line the rest of the way. You see Sean Campbell kind of completing all the laps here. But DJ, we finally got our race results.
We do indeed. As we said, it was Silliman, Metzger, and Zier that took those top 3 positions. John Cooper behind them with Justin Delano rounding out your top 5. Dean Timms was in 6th, followed by Mark Redford with Harry Wills and Daniel Floria and James Howard in 10th place. Eric Kulaga was 11th, followed by Stephen Martinez, TJ Handley, Henry Wyndham, Drew Neubauer, Judith Cooper, and Taylor Lane, with it looks like Errol Urexoy rounding out the drivers there on the lead lap.
Yeah, finishing in 18th is Sean Campbell. Era Urixoy finishes in 19th. Emily Howe finishes in 20th position. Thomas Fisher finishes in 21st. Jeff Carollo comes home in 22nd, followed by Jonathan Havey in 23rd. 24th place goes to Matthew Plaisance, with Katie Height finishing in 25th. The number 26 spot goes to the number 2 of Sean Smith. Rich Matthews comes home in 27th place. Braden Melling comes home in 28th. Coming home in 29th is John Casey. Travis Kepler rounds out the top 30, and Morgan Castello comes home in 31st place, rounding out the field.
Indeed, and we are lucky enough here to be joined by our second place finisher on the day, Casey Metzger. Casey, that was a monumental climb through the field, up 22 on the day. Casey, you got a copy? All right, so we apparently have a little bit of connection problems there with Casey Metzger, but let's go to our fifth place finisher on the day. That is Justin Delano. Justin, up 16 on the day and really just kind of stuck your nose in there and held it out. This has got to feel good to come home with the top 5.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. My setup was terrible, and I guess my driving was all right.
Well, I will certainly take that. I mean, talk me through the middle stages of this race. Obviously, you were kind of in the wars out there. What was your mentality coming up through the field?
I just put it in the back to avoid all the accidents, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. I only got collected in one, but that was just a little driver error between the two of us.
Well, it clearly got you through. And as we look ahead on the schedule here, we head to Charlotte next, a very, very tricky circuit. Obviously, one of the tougher mile-and-a-halfers that we go to. How do you like your chances there?
Can't say I've driven there yet. Hopefully I learn a little bit more about setups, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, Justin. Well, we wish you the best of luck. But as for today, is there anybody you'd like to thank for this top 5?
I'd just like to thank my team, Eclipse Racing Esports, you guys, and then the league organizers for putting on a good race.
Well, indeed, thank you, Justin. That was your 5th place finisher, Justin Delano. And Austin, we've got a whole host of guys here, and I'm just curious who you want to talk to.
I think I'm going to choose to talk to the driver of the number 77 car, Mark Redford, bringing his ride home in the 7th position. Hey, Mark, you got a copy?
Yeah, I can hear you, Austin.
Excellent, buddy. Well, you drove the majority of this race without a front fascia, especially those last couple laps. You're kind of just hoping and praying you could get some kind of draft behind another driver to make sure that kind of didn't really count against you.
Yeah, there were a lot of cars with damage out there, so I was just kind of hoping. The engine was good, so I think the number of restarts did me a favour because I could accelerate. So it was all right coming away from the starts. I just didn't have any top speed.
We saw you more often than not kind of make a return to the front half of the field at the end of all these green flag runs. Were you doing a really good job on saving your tires, or did you just kind of design the set around being good on tires?
Yeah, I tried to get the set to be nicely balanced and be good on tyres. So turn 1 and 2 he's quite loose, and turn 3 and 4 is quite tight. So I couldn't really find a way to get both corners to work nicely. So yeah, I was just like running in the pack really, and trying to look after the tyres a bit. And yeah, it's quite hard to pass on the inside at least.
Yeah, really hard to pass here with the lack of side force these cars have. Mark, before I let you go, I got to ask anyone you want to thank.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing the broadcast, and WSL for putting on the league. And yeah, but shout out to my sons, Luke and Will. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Mark. Loving the shout out to the kids. DJ, I think we're joined now by our winner. I see Cass Silman down there in the waiting room.
Indeed, we are. Cass, a victory on the day and up 21 positions to boot. This has got to be a sweet victory.
Yeah, I knew we had a great car. Our teammates had a great setup, so we were all looking very positive for a good result tonight, and it seemed to have paid off.
Well, talk me through a little bit of that middle stage of the race when you were kind of fighting your way up through the field. I mean, was it a full-out push to get up there, or were you just kind of holding back and letting everything come to you?
Well, definitely after the speeding penalty, I was hammering, trying to get back up there. In the beginning, it was sort of just seeing how everybody was handling with their cars and everything, and sort of just biding my time. But it seemed I got up there pretty fast anyway, so I guess it didn't really matter.
Well, and then obviously a little bit of hair-raisingness at the end of the race. They're having to defend on those last couple of restarts. Talk me through those last two green-white checker attempts.
Well, I had a teammate, so on my outside at least on those last two, so it was fairly easy to sort of get away there, and then sort of have her behind me sort of just being in the way. So it was, but thankfully I had some help there, or it may have not happened the same way.
Well, glad it happened the way that it did for you. Is there anybody you would like to thank for the victory today?
I just want to thank Prismatic, all my teammates. We have a great community. We work hard on our setups and our game, so it's nice when we see it pay off, and it feels good that when we're out there all together and just having a great time.
Well, fantastic. Congratulations once again, Cass.
Thank you.
That was Cass Silman, driver of the 25 and victor on the day. And, well, Austin, that's about going to wrap things up for us here. This has been the World Series League NASCAR Series US Edition Round 2 from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And once again, we just like to give a big shout-out to our sponsors, Race Anywhere and Go for the Gap. Let's take a look real quick. We have final points after today, so let's take a quick look at those before we go. Is there you can see them popping up on your screen. It's going to be Lila Zier, able to get her way up into the top of the charts. Eric Kulaga, Jonathan Havey, Henry Windham, and James Howard. Unfortunately, there for Cass Silman, that win today, not enough to put her up into the top 10. So there you see it. There she is, up into 9th place right now with that win. So good runs there for her and across the board. And if you want to see those points continue to change throughout the year, it is going to be doing it every Thursday night here on Absolute Sim Racing. Once again, my name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of Austin Belkey and our director and producer in the booth, David Christie, we would like to thank you for joining us here tonight. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.